All right, guys. Hi. So, start up this week. Starting up a little bit early, so I'm gonna wait around see if anybody else hops on. I know I'm a little bit early. Kind of wanted to play around with some stuff. Um, okay. So yeah, can't see all the data today. Okay, cool. Nope. All right, guys. So I guess I'll let you in on a little secret if you didn't see my Facebook post. So doing this a little differently this week. Hey, Bob. Um, so this week we are using some new technology for us. Hold on. Oh, okay. And I was going to bring this up. So I'm trying to be able to keep an eye on the live chat. I've got about three things open up on my computer screen at the moment. But I am using a mirrorless camera, full-size camera, this week. So hopefully video will be good. Audio, I hope is good. Brian, you got to tell me and what I'll say. Oh, good. Thanks, Brian. So what I'll say is, if you got any problems and I'm not paying attention to them, Brian, message me. If you hear something in the background, I'm trying to watch audio inputs and a lot more going on this week than normal. So getting used to some new stuff. So, all right, well, I guess I'll start out and talk about what we're going to tie. We're going to tie, it's called a Tarpon Toad. The Tarpon Toad is, well, this is not a traditional Tarpon Toad. I should start out with that. It's a floating Tarpon Toad. And Tarpon Toad is obviously considered a tarpon fly, but it is not only for tarpon. And this floating version is super cool. It is foam, which, as you all have figured out, I really like foam. It is kind of a waking fly. And one of the things I dig with this fly is it's a great largemouth fly. Tied up right, tied up in certain colors. It looks awesome moving through the water. You got all this marabou in the back, kind of, fluffing and poofing and going all over the place. And then you got the harder foam up front, which is helping to create that wake and giving you that hard body. So you almost look like you've got legs pulsing in that water, and then you got this body that's rock hard. So start out, take the demo fly out of here. Start out, I'll talk about your hook choice. Typically, this is a fly that you're going to want a short shanked hook, but you want a wide gap hook. And you also want a heavy hook. So traditionally, so the hook that I know most everyone has is, I got to get it into focus. This is going to be fun because this thing has got a really shallow depth of field. Gamakatsu B10S. Most everyone has them. This is in a size 1. So it's kind of your standard, your standard hook. The other hook that is kind of traditional on this fly is something like a Gamakatsu SL12. This is the S, so it means it's stainless. There also is, I believe, a C, which means it's a carbon hook. Carbon hooks are black, so kind of the way that the B10S is, kind of that black hook instead of being a shiny hook. So those would be the two that, most everyone can get their hands on. I'm actually going to tie a little differently tonight. Went into some of my old boxes, pulled out a hook manufacturer that's kind of hard to get your hands on. I used to actually know the U.S. distributor, and he lives in Richmond. So it is actually Verivas. So it's a cool hook, crazy heavy hook, kind of a different shape to it. If you look, it's kind of got this upward. So if you look, that point is pointing directly at the eye of the hook. That helps with keeping things hooked, which is the reason why that I'm going with this one. It also has a micro barb, so Brian always has to trim the barb off. I don't have to worry about that. There is literally basically no barb. So awesome hook, strong hook. I have used them on many a species. Super cool, super fun hook to tie on. Really hard to get your hands on. Actually, at one point, couldn't even get them in the U.S. So I looked today, and apparently it looks like there's some shops that still carry them. I don't know if it's just old stock or if somebody else is now distributing for them. Kind of sad that my buddy's not, because I used to basically be able to walk over into his living room and grab whatever hooks I needed. Perks of my life at times. So to start out, I'm gonna go with some chartreuse thread today. Yeah, I've really got to get used to this, putting it in the right place. So gonna be using chartreuse. You can use white, you can use black, use whatever color you want. Use something fairly heavy. We're working with foam. We all know working with foam, you want something fairly heavy. We're also dealing with a pretty heavy hook, so you can put as much pressure on it as you want. The B10S is the lightest hook that we've got there, and good luck ever bending that thing. The SL12, this thing borderline could be thrown on a spinning rod. The hook alone is so heavy. If you didn't have too much Marabou on it, you probably could. So start out, put your hook in the vise, put down a layer of thread. Nothing crazy, nothing different on the beginning of this fly. But if you notice, this is a really short shanked hook. That's kind of a typical thing when it comes to tarpon flies. And the reason for that is actually because a short shanked hook is less likely to be thrown out of a fish's mouth when they head shake. If you think about tarpon, and if you've ever seen pictures of tarpon, if you've ever caught them, you're even better than me. I've only ever hooked them. They do a lot of head shakes. They're actually a member of the mullet family, so they're basically a gigantic bait fish. And when you catch them, when you hook them, they just shake their head massively. Short shanked hook, awesome for that. They're a predator. They inhale their food. They don't really have teeth. They've got really sharp gill plates, and they've got some sharp bits in their mouth, but they're not, whatever you'd want to call it. They're not a fish that is got a really big amount of teeth. So having that shorter shank is fine, because you can get everything hooked up in there. You can have your bite leader right attached. Bite leaders are going to be usually 60 to 80 pound test. Well, Brian, you're asking why we tie in a tarpon fly while we're in Virginia. One, it's a great largemouth fly. Two, I said I hooked a tarpon. I didn't tell you where, did I? Yes, we do have tarpon in Virginia. They are a product of warmer waters in the middle of summer. Yep, Bob. Bob knows. And they're the worst kept secret in fly fishing in the state of Virginia. Everyone who's done it has talked about it, but nobody will talk about exactly where. Most people won't talk about exactly where. And I can tell you that I have been sworn to secrecy on the flats that I fish. And if I were to ever let the locations go, I actually might be fearing for my life. Not really, but sort of. So, okay, let's get going with this fly. So with this fly, we're going to use a little bit of bucktail. I did not grab... We're going to throw some odd color bucktail. I did not think about that when I was grabbing stuff. Typically with this fly, because I'm using Marabou, standard strung Marabou, I want to put a little bit of bucktail in the back. Helps keep the fly from fouling. So, I'm just going to put, because the color pattern I chose, I got chartreuse thread. I'll use a little bit of a chartreuse bucktail, just because I forgot to grab the color of bucktail that I needed. And you'll see the color in a minute, what I was thinking. So, pull out all the little extra fuzzies, tie it in, and truly guys, I'm tying in just a little bit out the back. This is more just to kind of help keep that Marabou from wrapping up around the hook than anything. Trim off my bucktail, wrap it down good and tight. So if you look, I'm going hook shank long. This is a short hook shank too. So give you an idea, this is a 1/0 hook. It has a hook shank that's about 3/4 of an inch long. Yeah, I literally put my thumb. My thumb, luckily, is about an inch. I am average, apparently. Not the only thing I'm average at. Otherwise, I am just oddball on everything else I do. So now I'm going to go ahead, grab myself some strong Marabou. I'm not getting any good strong Marabou. I don't know whose Marabou this is. It came in a pack like this. I'm not happy with it. So, ooh, that is some horrible Marabou. So we're going to be stacking up a couple of feathers. Wow. That was definitely some dollar bin Marabou. So I'm going to put this on, and I want it to be longer than my bucktail, but not by a whole lot. So what we're kind of trying to do is, this is going to be the part of the body in the back. This is going to be kind of the floofy part, the part that's, you know, kind of moving, making movement. Brian, foam is good for everything. I know guys who tie up shark flies with foam. There isn't many things that swim near the surface. Now, I will preface it, you got to be near the surface for foam. You know, that said, theoretically, I guess I could put, you know, with a heavy enough fly line, you could put foam down on the bottom. Again, I don't know why you would do that, other than to prove a point, which I've done many a trip, which the only goal of the entire trip is to prove a point. You got to prove to your buddies sometimes that, you know. So, wrapping back, and I'm going to put a good amount of wraps at the very back. Now, if you notice, I'm actually kind of trying to fill up right at that very back. If you look, it's lining up kind of with that hook point. With what I do. It's actually lining up perfectly with the barb, it looks like. It's pretty sad that actually I'm having to look at the video to be able to see the barb, because I can't see it myself. It's such a small barb. So, now, get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. We got black. Now we're going to go with pink. Pepto-Bismol pink, to be honest. Is there an official color on this? No, there isn't. So this is your standard craft store foam. Truly still has the tag on it. Good stuff. We have tied a lot with it. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And everybody wants to pause for a moment while I'm cutting it so I can kind of show you what you want to cut. This fly is done a bit differently. If you've got access to some sort of a paper cutter and can cut 1/8 inch wide strips, something like that, out of your foam, you can cut long, thin strips, by all means, do it. I don't have a paper cutter right now. Mine is currently sitting in storage, honestly. So what I did, I went and cut. It's about 1/8 of an inch or so, about as straight as I could get it, which is not very straight, but whatever. And I'm going to cut it about, you know, we're going to go slightly more than a hook gap, maybe a hook gap and a quarter. We're going to cut 6 or 7 or 8 of these, as many as we think we're going to need for each one. So that's where I say, you know, if you can, this is a fly that does really well with kind of tying in my style, where I like to tie up 5 or 6 of something at a time, you know, fill up a box instead of 1 or 2. So that's actually one of the reasons why I kind of tie, you know, as I say, quick and dirty, because I'm going to tie up 5 or 6 of something. I'm not going to tie up 1 or 2. And one of the reasons why I tie up 5 or 6 is, 1, I get more flies. 2, this is something that I kind of learned when I was younger. The first one is never good. I mean, your first fly that you tie, it could be a fly you tied 1,000,000 times. The first one never comes out right. By about the 4th or 5th, usually, if you know how to tie the fly, it's looking really good. If you're learning the fly, it's starting to look good. So that is actually the reason why that I like to tie a bunch at one time. So some people would call it guide style, where you tie up, you know, a dozen at a time. Some people would say, oh, it's because you worked in a fly shop. No, it's because of the fact that I remember reading in Fly Tire a decade ago, 2 decades ago, something like that. I don't know. Remember reading in Fly Tire talking about doing that, whole pile of time. So, now we're going to want to cover up. And actually, you know what? We're going to just cover everything up right now. I'm going to have to flip this fly over because I cannot see. I want to cover up all that black with the chartreuse. So, you're also kind of probably wondering, why pink? Well, honestly, one of my favorite color patterns in all of fly tying is pink and black. Don't ask me why. I think it looks good. Do I think it catches me more fish? No. But if I've got more confidence in it, am I going to probably fish it more? Yes. So if you look, we got a whole pile built up on top there. Ideally, we wouldn't want to do that. My Marabou wasn't great. Like I said, not my favorite Marabou I've ever worked with. Oh well. So moving on. Now I'm going to bring the thread back to about the hook point. And I'm going to tie this in, find about the middle, stop. Turn. Why are you not working for me? Apparently put it down too hard. There we go. So I'm going to leave it on its side tonight because of the fact that it not sitting kind of the way exactly I wanted it. Next one will be better, I promise. So we tied in our first one. And if you look, it's turned 90 degrees. So what I did is I put a little X-wrap over top of it, just like you do with clouser eyes. I've seen where they literally just tie it in on one side, so it basically would just be on one angle. I've never been successful with that. So, and one of those things that if I'm not successful with it, I'm not going to try to tell you guys to do it. I'm going to tell you guys to use what works for me. And doing the little X-wrap works. So, take it, progress your thread a little bit forward. Now we want this to be as butted up as we can get it, but you're never going to get it quite fully butted up. But literally, just put an X-wrap on there. So we've got 2. I'm not worried about cutting the foam brine. Here, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. If you put so much pressure, you cut the foam. 1, you're using gel spun thread, obviously, which this actually happens to be. And I just looked down at my spool and realized that I'm running out of chartreuse gel spun. Looks like I'm going to be doing a trip to a fly shop sometime soon. Might have to go back and see some old friends. So I know they're open. But now we've done 2. Let's do a 3rd. So basically, guys, do as many as it takes to get up to the front. And I'll also talk about the other thing that is normal for this fly. This fly normally has monofilament eyes. The burned mono eyes. We know I hate eyes. I hate eyes. I hate tying them on. And the burned mono, since it's a tarpon fly, they don't use 20-pound mono burned eyes. They're using 50, 60, 70-pound mono, which most of us don't have sitting around. I don't anymore. Used to. So, yep, Brian's right. Many fly shops are doing mail order. I am a weirdo in that I still like to go to a fly shop. I did do some ordering while all this was going on. It worked, but it only worked because of the fact that I kind of cheated and called up the fly shop and basically had them talk me through everything that they were grabbing to make sure it was in the colors I wanted. Because, as everyone from the Charlottesville chapter knows, or at least a lot of you know, I used to work for Orvis years ago. I spent 14 years at the company. I got very used to being in a fly shop and getting everything that I needed right then. Things I've had to adapt to by moving on into other parts of the world. So now that I've got 3, if you can do 4 or 5 pieces of foam in there, awesome. More foam is better. It's going to float better. The other one that I had tied, I used up a different kind of foam. you know, it worked. I used some of that 2 mil foam that I accidentally ordered. Again, why sometimes you ordering it's not a good idea. I still think that they gave me the wrong stuff. But now I'm going to whip finish this fly. And I'm going to give it a minute so that if anybody else has got extra pieces that they need to put in. So Bob, if you're going to put in mono eyes, you're going to want to leave about 2 hook eyes gap in length. So you're going to leave a little bit of room up in the front. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I don't like to use them also. I know it makes the fly look, more real to people. But I don't think fish see that well. Generally I am going for more reaction strikes than the way that I tend to fish anyways. So I'm not looking for, perfect realism. I tend to be a much faster fisherman. I tend to work things a lot more. I know that any of you have ever actually fished with me and watched me fish a streamer have seen that I will sit there and just rip a fly. That's just how I do it. It's what I like to do. I'm not saying that it's the right way. It's just how I do it. So now we've got this gotta get it sitting a little bit better. One thing that you can do right now is you can kind of bend everything and get it right. So I'm going to turn it towards the camera. And if anything goes out of focus, guys, let me know. Like I said, I'm figuring this camera thing out. Brian and I did test it over the weekend. And we tested for the other project that we've got going on. So you guys probably saw, anybody from the Charlottesville chapter probably saw an email about a Q&A that we're going to be doing. We've got some other people coming in, and we were testing for that. So I'll prime everyone. Got any questions? Ask them. Email them to Brian. You can ask them in here. Hopefully somebody will write them down. And basically any questions, that's going to be on the 30th of June. That's coming up in 2 weeks? I don't know. I think 2 weeks. What day is today? COVID. But, so basically it'll give everyone an option to be able to have some questions. We're going to have some cool guys on. Wouldn't be a live stream without me coughing. We're going to have Andy Slauson from Mossy Creek Outfitters. Good buddy of ours, used to live in Charlottesville. And we also have got Matt Riley from Matt Riley Fly Fishing. Matt is a guide down in the southwestern corner of the state. Good dude. Absolute pedigree. He's a weapon on the water. The guy is good. And he's more than happy to come on. Andy's more than happy to come on. And they want to be able to answer your questions. So they'll be able to answer them from various points of view. So it should be a good time. So now that everyone hopefully is caught up, we are going to trim this fly. Here's the part where you hold your breath. So I just trimmed it. I put it on probably 30-degree angle. What I like. This is kind of one of those things you can play with. I got to flip it the other way. In order to be able to hold it on the same angle. I hope I got that straight. Not too bad. Okay, there we go. I think that's fairly straight. So, that's the finished fly, guys. Kind of typical for me. Very quick, very cool. Well, to me, cool. Sorry, gotta get some water. Wouldn't be, like I said, wouldn't be a live stream without me coughing. I go to the live stream and can't stop. So I'm gonna flip the fly over, and if you look, got another one of my favorite color combinations: chartreuse and black. So pink, black, chartreuse, all these look good together. This is a color combination that we haven't really talked about. And we haven't really talked about color combinations. Brian and I have been kind of tying in more or less monotone flies. But, maybe some red and white, maybe some of the really traditional colors. Black and chartreuse is one of those deadly bass combinations. Don't ask me why. Pink and chartreuse, another deadly bass combination. I said it's a tarpon fly. I have never fished this fly to tarpon, ever. I have only ever fished this fly to largemouth and smallmouth. Never successfully to smallmouth. But I will throw this into a bass pond any day. With this little amount of foam and this heavy of a hook, the fly is going to barely sink. So when you strip it, it's going to kind of come up a little bit and slowly drop down. Get my hand actually in there. Come up and slowly drop down. So that is actually how it's going to be. This fly, great little pattern. One to definitely be able to remember. And now we're going to tie up another one because I always tie 2 flies in every live stream. Take it out. Everybody go grab your favorite hook. I'm going to grab these just because tying on some hooks that bring back some memories. So, which is fun for me. Yes, actually a hook will bring back memories for me. I'm a little weird that way. So, tighten down. Ooh, we are moving a little. There we go. So, I am going to tie this one because I am literally, hey guys, I've gotten my money's worth out of this spool of thread. Let me grab another spool. Perk of having multiple bobbins. I already have one rigged up. I'm going to go white this time. So we're going to go ahead and do white. I know what color I'm going to do. So, cover up your thread. Cover up your hook with your thread. This is standard flat wax white, 210 denier. Previous stuff was actually a gel spun. So, yep, Brian put his email address in there. Yeah. And guys, we love seeing the photos of the flies. It helps us to be able to see kind of, everything going on. And, it's one thing that I missed from the being in person and tying, guys, is being able to see the flies at the end. That was always one of the parts that I thoroughly enjoyed. So, yeah, just being able to see what you guys created makes me happy. So, I am going to go, I know what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. This is what happens when you don't plan fully ahead. Normally, I know what colors I'm going to tie. I know, every little bit. Or at least I've got everything more or less planned out. So, I'm going to have chartreuse tail again because I got a chartreuse bucktail right here. And it's a good bucktail. So that color you don't have to do anything, colors don't matter with this. Tie up whatever you want. This thing's like a clouser. You want to tie it up in blue? Tie it up in blue. Green, which is kind of the color combination I'm going to do, is a great color combination because it kind of looks like a little frog. Now, if you wanted to, I don't know where mine went. I had it right here. There it is. Lost a lot of my desk space to a camera this week. So, I'm actually going to put a bit of flash in. This is, you can use Krennic, you can use Flashaboo, you can use Midge Flash, you can use whatever you want. I've got Sparkle Hair, if I remember right. I think that's what Orvis called it. All my flashes come out of packaging after I buy them. I've actually got just basically a big package that all my flash sits in, which is probably not the best thing because I also don't remember what color things actually are. And being that flashes come in a billion colors now, I don't know if I picked up Midnight or Steelhead, let's just say, which by the way are 2 totally different colors, but, I don't know which ones I've got. So I pretty much just looked and was like, I like that. Pulling out, and I'm going to pull out a fair amount actually. Yeah, Jeff's using flash. This is scary. So, tie it in. We're going to do kind of your standard tie it in so it goes down both sides. what I like. Kind of creates that lateral line look. Kind of creates a flash on the top and the bottom at the same time also. So 1 wrap, 2 wrap. Didn't catch it all apparently. There we go. That should catch all of it. Hopefully I didn't put so many wraps in I can't get it to straighten up. Yep, I did. Those look fairly even. Now, what it is, I pulled it up straight, kind of made sure it was generally even, and I'm going to pull it down the side. If you watch how I've got it in my fingers, I've literally got it between my ring and my middle finger and my pointing finger and my thumb on the other side. So let's see if I can get it to turn. So you can kind of see that I've got it. You can't really see it. But that's how that I like to hold flash, to be able to go down the side. So, got our flash. We're going to cut it, and we're going to cut it longer than the bucktail. Not that it's a traditional way of doing it, but it's how I'm going to do it. I really don't sometimes worry about traditional. So, talked about chartreuse in the tail. Pulling out the good old strung marabou again. You know, it's not always the best marabou in the world. Sometimes it's all we got. Strung marabou is actually really good stuff generally. It is a great material. Sometimes you got to pick through the packs a little bit. In the last fly, I definitely did not pick well enough. I did not pick the right ones. So, tie a whole pile in the back. Now I'm going to pull down pretty tight on this. Generally, I don't talk about thread tension a whole lot. I don't know why. I don't have a good reason. But actually, if you look, I had 2 feathers, by the way. I just basically grabbed a big chunk because I wanted to have a pretty poofy back end. A little bit of something schmutz in there. So, if you look, I left myself a much shorter body this time than I did last time. And that's actually on purpose. So when we look at this fly, by the way, I'm going to spin it around 360. Really poofy back end. Spinning, spinning. Lots of flash in there. You can't really see the chartreuse bucktail in there. That's fine. That's not really there for really a look of any sort. That's there to help keep this, try to help with keeping the marabou from fouling. So fouling is basically when that material wraps around the hook. Generally, it is caused by casting a fly rod. Actually, no, it's a lot of times caused by casting in the wind, not being able to cast, as tightly as we want to, not being able to cast as well as we want to. Guys, I foul flies all the time. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad if you do. It is not a big deal. So, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to take black foam. I'm going to put the pink away. I'm going to tie this a bit darker. So one thing that they say is that dark flies for dark water, bright flies for clear water. So I'm kind of making this fly to be able to do both. Not really. I'm kind of just making this fly to... Actually, you know what? No. Quick change of plan. Hope nothing came disconnected. We're going to go with green. We're going to make a frog. Actually, that was the kind of the thought that I had initially. So I'm going to cut this foam, like I said, about 1/8 of an inch. Fly tying cleats are not going to come find you if it's 5/16 or, they've got too many other things to worry about. The thing I always say is fly tying cleats are too busy worrying about the tails on woolly buggers to be bothered by anything I'm doing. They're too busy, worrying about, the wing on somebody's Adams. I don't worry about it. As long as it looks good, I don't care. So we're going to do this again. We're going to go slightly more. Yep. So Brian's going to be working on some keys flies. I got some other keys flies in the works. By the way, Brian and I did not plan on doing tarpon flies lined up in a row. We were talking about it today and kind of laughing. At least I was laughing at it. I don't know if Brian was. But yeah, it's, basically it just shows how, he and I tend to be thinking alike. Trying to come up with ideas for you guys, and should be getting the post-fly stuff soon. We don't know when. As soon as we get it, we get it. As soon as we get it, I'll start tying them. It's part of the reason why I did this switch over to the new stuff that I've got that I'm working with tonight. Is to be able to tie smaller flies. And in my live stream a few weeks ago, somebody had asked about a trout fly. Does anybody remember what that was? Because I didn't write it down. So we'll have to see. Have to see. But somebody had an idea for a trout fly that I had said in August. I just don't remember what it was. Sorry. Just cutting up my foam. I've got a stack of foam here. I'm not going to use all this foam. So, I'm going to try to tie this a little differently this time. Last time we had tied it, where'd my fly go? With the foam going flat. I'm going to try to tie this, and I'm going to show you guys the other way to tie this. Tie it with it up on its side. So this, you want a little bit more, and this is where that kind of, a little bit of thread tension. Don't go so much that you're cutting through, but let's see. I don't know how we can show this. You look, there's a little gap. Pull out my bodkin to show you. A little gap right here. And what that is, that's actually where I've pulled the foam down hard. I haven't pulled hard enough to cut through it yet, but you don't want to. So we're going to do this again. Get it fairly close. If you look, my foam is moving on me. Nothing is working right. Welcome to Fly Tying Live. Welcome to trying to tie this live. This is why I never do it this way, but this is the way that, they say it's supposed to be done, and I don't believe in it. So you know what? Stop fighting with me. Oop. Brian, was that you? Okay. Cool. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, if you guys have any problems, focus is out. Okay. Thanks, Bob. Try to get it. I am playing around with this camera. I got it literally less than a week ago. So I hope that that's good. It looks fine on my end. Yeah, literally, guys, I got this camera last Wednesday. So I'm still playing with it, still learning it. So still paying for it. So this is a new world for me. Still a bit blurry according to Brian. Okay. Guys, give me 1 second. I'm actually going to finish this part up. Yeah, forget it. Let me go full wide on my actual live view for myself. Oh, yeah, that definitely is. There we go. That should be better. Hopefully that's better. That looked a lot better for me. And actually, it's ironically, the fly is working a lot better for me all of a sudden. Hey, what do you know? Okay, I am really close to the front on this. I'm going to try to fit one more in. Wish me luck. Now, what I was doing is I was literally putting 2 wraps down. It is not super tight in there. We're going to have to do a little bit of trussing up in order to help that. But whatever. So now I'm going to do a bunch of wraps in the front. Everyone hears that sound that knows that that's the sound of my... It's the sound of me getting a text message. So... But yeah, Bob, thank you for letting me know about the focus. Whenever I have something go out, you gotta let me know. So I'm gonna do my whip finish here. If you can't whip finish, that's fine. You can do half hitches. They work. I like the whip finish tool myself. So now I'm gonna have to do a little bit of what I call trussing. Just giving it a little bit of help. And what am I going to use? Shocker. Superglue. Now I'm going to have to do this in a way that I can see it, and then I'll tell you guys exactly what I'm doing. What I'm actually doing is I'm putting the superglue very, very lightly down both sides of the bottom of the hook. It's also going to help make the hook a little bit tougher. I'm going to do something that Brian taught me. I did not know that, Brian, by the way, that water is what causes the stuff to set up. That it was actually news to me. You could, Bob. You're likely to end up cutting this foam. Foam is not known as the world's toughest material. At least craft foam is not known as the world's toughest material. I mean, my thumbnail just put a cut into it. So you could, if you were careful. Also, with the way that I like to be able to put a whole pile of thread down on the bottom, it's not going to pack the way that like deer hair would. The way you do that, like with deer hair and that sort of thing, you don't want anything on the shank of the hook. So that when you go to push down, you are literally causing it to slide along the nice nice smooth hook. If your hooks aren't smooth, go buy new hooks. Normal brands of hooks are really good. I did order some years ago off of Amazon because everybody in the YouTube fly tying world was talking about how great these hooks were. I ordered them and realized that they were just getting paid to talk about those hooks. So yeah, they were horrible hooks. I don't use them. In fact, if I remember, I threw them away immediately. So now we got to trim this fly. I'm going to turn it sideways. This is going to be real fun. Use whatever scissors you like. I got a pair of, actually I think they're synthetic scissors. I wouldn't use my razor scissors for this. I love my razor scissors. But no, I'm going to use my synthetics. These things are really serrated. If anybody remembers, if anybody's ever felt these things are like a fabric scissor on steroids. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this on my 30 degree cut. Put foam everywhere so that it's all over the room, because that's how it should be. Spin it around. Look at it, see, yeah, I'm going to call that pretty good. So what I've got here, tied the fly up a little bit different way. It's going to make a lot more noise in the water. One, it's got extra foam in it. Two, if you look straight down it, and let me get that Marabou looking right. When you look straight down it, see how it's got, we're out of focus. There, we're now in focus. Like I said, guys, really kind of learning some things tonight. But if you look, you've got a pretty tall piece of foam here. That's going to catch a lot of water. It's also going to catch a lot of air, but that's part of life. Oh, it's going to catch a lot of water. So you move this thing through the water, and I'm going to turn it vertically and hold it up. When you look at it, it's kind of froggy because this is going to lay back a bit in the water. So you kind of are getting a little bit of a froggy shape. Yep, it'll move and flex more, Brian. That's the reason why I did that little bit of what I call trussing and cheating with using the super glue. Good stuff. If we don't get a Loctite sponsorship out of this, I don't know what it's going to take. Because Brian and I use Loctite Superglue every single week. It is kind of funny. It is our best friend. Superglue fixes a lot of errors and makes you look like a much better fly tyer than you really are. It also makes the fly a lot more durable. So that little bit that I put on there is not going to make a big difference in durability, but it's going to help out a bit. It's also help make that thread on the bottom a little stronger. Because largemouth have a pretty rough mouth. It's kind of how they do their thing. Tarpon, not really. But if you get into bluefish, this fly will live for about a half second in a bluefish's mouth. But if you get an opportunity to go for bluefish that are big enough to take one of these flies and take it all the way in their mouth, take that opportunity. Run with it. Go have fun with giant bluefish. So, this is the Tarpon Toad. Yeah, Brian's saying sure we're trying to get that sponsorship. Eventually, he's going to tie something with nothing but glue. I've seen flies tied out of hot glue. In fact, I really, it's always a fun one. I've always wanted to kind of play around with that. So, but yeah, we're really, guys, we're not pushing that you need the Loctite brand. It's just what we use. Part of the reason why both of us use it is because Chuck Kraft said to use this super glue. Now, he said to use the one in the black container. I like the one in the gray container. Whatever. I listen to Chuck for a lot of things. I didn't listen perfectly. But that's part of it is Chuck taught us. And every day we think about them. Every day we look at the flies that we're tying and realize that, he played a part in why we did that. So, but, guys, that's the Tarpon Toad. Would love to be able to have everyone on next week. Brian's going to be tying a key-style fly, and then it's the next week, Brian, that's our live stream with the Q&A. So anybody who's got any questions, feel free to email Brian. Feel free to write them in the comments here. Write them anywhere that we can find them. If you're on our Facebook, write it on our Facebook page. So any questions, we don't care. Really, guys, we don't care what the question is. Because if you ask questions, then we don't have to ask questions. And you really don't want to hear our questions. Our questions are going to be, well, I don't know. Mine are really just trying to make Andy uncomfortable. So any questions we can get, please, we want them. Yeah, June 30th is the date. It's going to be at 6:30. Everybody's confirmed. We got to test out some equipment on everybody, but it should be really good. We're going to have a good time, and I should be playing around with some more technology then, Brian, as we discovered. So I want to thank everyone for coming in this week, and also want to sit there and say, please stop by next week and send us the flies. Any flies that you tied tonight, guys. That'll be awesome. And apparently I've got another message. Oh, is that Brian's flies? Possibly it could be Brian's flies. Oh, they look interesting. Yep, John, had fun. So I'm going to say bye to everybody. I'm trying to get my hand in the camera. This is really weird. It looks great, I know, guys, but it's really weird. So, look.